Hi all, this is Mohit Tyagi. Today we will discuss a Power BI real-time problem where we will create a dynamic title based on selection of slicer filter, right? Here we have two filter, like one of them is manager and another one is employee, right? So in case one, we will discuss, suppose I am selecting a particular employee, right? Without selecting any manager, if I am selecting an employee name. So in the dynamic title, I will be able to see manager name along with the employee name. However, I'm not selecting any manager name from the manager filter, right? Even though I'm getting the manager name in the title also. Right. So I want to get the manager name along with the employee name, right? And in the second case, right, suppose I'm selecting a particular employee, right? So I will be able to see only the employee name. Right? I don't want to see the manager name. So this will be our second case, right? So we will discuss both the cases. So let's discuss case one first, right? So I'm creating a another sheet for that. So this is the sample data. This is nothing but 10 to 12 rows, right? So and now we are on the canvas. First, we will discuss case one, right? So let me rename it case one, right? So here we can create a simple table and we can drag and drop manager name, employee name, and the amount, right? This is simple, right? And we can add the slicer also. So let me take the first slicer and copy paste, Control C, Control V, right? So we are taking two slicer. So in the first slicer, I will take the manager name, and in the second slicer, I will take the employee name. So I can change the view of the slicer also. Let's select the slicer, design, slicer setting. Instead of vertical list, select the drop down, right? Same for second one. Go to the slicer setting, use the drop down, right? So you can also increase the size, right? If you want slicer header, you can make them 15, right? And for the value inside value, you can give the same, right? Same for the second slicer, font 15, and header, slicer header 15, right? Same for the table, you can also increase the size, values. First, remove the total, uncheck, column header, make them 15 or 14 is fine, right? Make them bold. And for the value increase them, right? 14, right? If you want to make them more colorful, so you can also change the background color also, right? So that is not the topic now. We can do that later. So now let's create the dex measure. New measure, and we can name it as dynamic header 1, right? Inside that, we need to create two variable, right? One for manager and the another for employee, right? And that will take the value from the slicer, right? So first we will create a variable manager equal to, we will use if condition, right? If selected value, so we will use selected value, so, right? And we will use the manager, seat1 manager. So why we are using the selected value? Because any value that we are picking from the slicer, so that is picking based on the selected value, right? Not equal to blank, then selected value manager, right? So this condition is giving us the value that we are picking from the manager slicer, right? If it is not blank, then it is giving us the value from the manager slicer. Same for the employee. If selected value employee name not equal to blank, uh, closing parenthesis, comma, selected value manager. So now we have created two variable for each slicer, right? Enter, return. So now we will use these two variable output inside the title. So here we will type the title, detailed report of manager, right? And we are using and for concatenation, right? Manager. This one is the variable that we created. Now again we will use and here we will use for employee and employee variable, right? So what we are using, we are concatenating these two value which we will pick from the slicer, right? And this is the hard coded title, right? So if I will enter, so this measure is created. Now we will use this measure for this title. So we need to select this table first, go to the format, general, title. First do it on inside the text, use field value, and inside the table seat1 we will use the dynamic header. Okay. So if you will see, dynamic header is created. We can increase the size, right? Make it bold, right? Suppose I am selecting a value from employees. You can see the manager is coming along with the employee name, right? If this is your requirement, so you can use that particular DAX query. If your requirement is a little different, like if you want only the selected value, right? You don't want to see the manager name because you are not selecting the manager name from the manager slicer. So we need to do a different calculation, right? So I'm just duplicating this, right? So here, if we want to see only the employee name, right? We don't want to see the manager name because we are not selecting from the manager slicer. So we need to make a little bit of tweak in the calculation, right? So let me create another measure for that. New measure. And let me rename as dynamic header 2 equal to. So first we will use the variable one for manager. Inside that we will use if is filter seat one manager. So here we will use the maximum. So this is an aggregated function. You can use either like minimum or maximum, right? To meet the criteria. So inside that we will use the seat1 managers, right? I'm just copy this and pasting for the employee where employee is equal to, right? I'm removing this part. Now I need to change employee and same for here, right? So what we are doing here, we are just taking out the value based on the filter. Earlier we were taking the value from the selected value, right? Return. So here we will use three condition, right? So three condition will be like if we are selecting manager value and employee value both, right? Right. Second condition will be if we are selecting only managers, right? We are not selecting anything from the employee. And the third one will be if we are selecting only employee, we are not selecting anything from the manager, right? So first if condition is filter seat1 seat1 employee and is filter seat1 manager detailed report of manager and manager. This one is the variable and for employee and right. So that's why we are using both condition. If is filtered employee and is filtered manager, then we want this. This is the hard coded and this is the first variable and this is the second variable, right? So now we will use the second if condition. If is filtered employee and not is filtered seat1 manager, then detailed report, right? So here in the second condition, we are just selecting employee, right? If manager slicer is not filtered, right? Then we want only this detailed report of employee, right? Now we will use the third condition that will be based on if we are selecting only manager, we are not selecting the employee, right? So shift enter if is filtered seat1 manager and not is filtered seat1 employee, right? Comma. Then we want detailed report of manager. right? So we have taken all the three conditions, right? So first condition is, suppose we are selecting from both the filters, right? Second condition is if we are selecting only employee, not manager. And the third one is if we are selecting manager, not the employee, right? Now we will close them. Third, yeah, right. So we are good. Enter. If now I will replace the header, uh, go to the title, come here. Instead of dynamic header 1, use the header 2, right? Okay. So you will see we are able to see only any name. If I am selecting anything, so we are able to see only the employee name. We are not getting anything from the manager. If I am clearing this, and if I am selecting anything from the manager, now I am able to see only manager name, right? We are not getting any employee. If I am selecting any particular name, so now we are getting manager name along with the employee. But there is a space issue, right? So we can also do that. You can see after manager name and employee name, there is a lack of space. So let me go here, and instead of header, so let me rename it header, and space here, right? Mm, space here, so that here also, right? So now save it and now see. So we are able to see the proper spacing between the title, right? So that's how we can do that. So we have discussed two cases here, right? So case one and case two. So this is how like we can achieve this, right? So thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day. Bye.